The Darkside. 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 The Darkside.
Another cold and lonely rainy day comes to an end. I have to clear my mind before I sleep or else I tend to close my eyes and realize there's nothing there but light. I need shadow, I need darkness to help me through the night.
The Darkside. The Darkside. The Darkside. The Darkside. The Darkside. The Darkside.
Hello, welcome to the Darkside show. Today we will explore atheism, look at some of the facts, and talk about its effect on society. And it's a very controversial subject. Of course, there are many who hold strong to their Christian beliefs or other religious beliefs and feel that atheists are evil and Satan. So before we get into that, let's hear from our featured fan, Jay Fubar. He always has very entertaining videos, and he's a very talented young man. And now, let's go to Jay Fubar.
I'll give you a trauma, you know.
Fire! I can relax, you know? I can relax.
Thank you, Jay. That was really, really good. Okay, let's get into some facts about atheist and atheism, if you want to call it an ism. I'm not sure that I would agree with that assessment, but let's get into it. While some atheists are anti-theist, most are non-theist who have no desire to destroy religion. We don't have a problem with believers until they try to force their beliefs on others. Atheists are not necessarily protesters, although that's how they are portrayed in the media. When they do protest, they protest government privileging of one religion over another, or religion over non-religion, which is absolutely true. I think we see it on a daily basis, especially in places like Facebook. Atheists are not angry at God, just as they are not angry at the Tooth Fairy. Now, most of us didn't become atheists because something bad happened to us. We became atheists because we find no evidence of any gods. Atheists are not less trustworthy just because we don't believe in a judging God. Believing that of us only makes us think you would be untrustworthy were it not for your fear of God. So it kind of reverses things for us. I myself am an atheist. But, you know, those who would believe that we are non-trustworthy because we don't have a God just makes us wonder how trustworthy you would be, Christians, that is, if it were not for your fear of God. We can find joy without belief in God and an afterlife. We may not see any cosmic purpose of life, but we do find our own joyful purposes in life. And sometimes, at least I know with myself, that I relish life more knowing that there's nothing after. So I enjoy every day and everything of every day and every little thing, every little butterfly and blade of grass, knowing that this is it. When I'm dead, I'm dead. Most religious people are secular most of the time. Ask yourself how you would behave differently if you stopped believing in God. If you can't come up with a good answer, then you are what I call a functional atheist. Calling atheism a religion is like calling baldness a hair color. I absolutely agree with that. The religion of atheism and secular humanism is not taught in public schools, unless you think that conveying the best available scientific information is a religious act. If you wind up abandoning faith in supernatural things because of science, as many do, that is a collateral belief benefit to critical thinking. Most atheists don't go around proselytizing or promoting atheism. For every open atheist you know, there are probably dozens of non-identifying atheists whom you assume are religious. Many are afraid to come out of their atheist closets, and the varied reasons for that would require another list of 10 or more things that I wish everyone would know. Atheists don't fit your stereotypes. There are good and bad atheists, just as there are good and bad Christians, Jews, Muslims, men, women, and other categories. Judge people by their actions and the content of their character, not by their professed religious beliefs, as we have seen in the multitude of stories about pedophile priests or, these Christian conservatives who end up going to jail because they're engaging in really bad behavior. Some famous atheists. that you may not know were atheists: Keanu Reeves, John Lennon, Seth MacFarlane, James Cameron, Richard Branson, Lance Armstrong, George Carlin, I think that was a given, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, Harvey Fierstein, Morgan Freeman. That one actually surprised me because he's played God. Jodie Foster, Bill Gates, Diane Keaton, Hugh Laurie, Jack Nicholson, Janine Garofalo, which of course we all knew about, Brad Pitt, Larry King, Uma Thurman, Kevin Bacon, and Sarah Silverman. There is a guy named Phil Zuckerman who wrote a book, Society Without God: What the Least Religious Nations Can Tell Us About Contentment. This gentleman sought to understand how Denmark and Sweden enjoy strong economies, low crime rates, high standards of living, and social equality, despite being the least religious countries in the world. While others argue that godless societies devolve into lawlessness and immorality, Zuckerman attempts to flipside the debate. The best societies were some of the least religious countries in the world. They have the lowest church attendance rates, also the lowest rates in belief in God or Jesus or the Bible. If they did believe, the belief was very weak. How did Zuckerman measure either the level of religion or what makes a good society? It's tricky to determine how religious a country is, he explains. Excuse me. But we looked at we looked at church attendance and the strength and the belief of God as measures. To determine what makes a good country, we included quality of life, infant mortality, life expectancy, normal sociological measures. I'm not saying that atheism causes societal progress or good countries. My argument is that a high level of atheism does not hinder social progress. The only reason I make that claim is to counter those who say we must have God or religion to have a good society. That claim is completely unsound. Of course, if you look at extremely religious countries, such as those in the Middle East, obviously high mortality rates, there's a lot of violence and a lot of crime, despite the fact that they live via their religion. A gentleman by the name of Barry Kosman feels this correlation of secularism to a well-developed society can be explained in another way. Secure people are less believing, he says. Insecurity leads to belief. People living in comfortable situations in Denmark or Sweden don't have a great need to believe in anything. They don't have a lot of stress. If you get sick or become unemployed, the state will help you out. So basically, it is not necessary to believe in a God or adhere to any religion to be happy sometimes. It is exactly the opposite. These are the top 10 most religious cities in the U.S. and coincidentally also on the high side of the most violent and crime-ridden according to the FBI. They are Little Rock, Arkansas, Charlotte, North Carolina, Birmingham, Alabama, Portland, Oregon, Jacksonville, North Carolina, Indianapolis, Indiana, Wichita, Kansas, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Gainesboro, North Carolina, and Colorado Springs, Colorado. As these numbers indicate, every one of America's holy hometowns had a crime rate above the national average. Right now, we're going to go to Jim and the Twisted News, and then we'll continue our conversation. Ready for you, Jim.
Torture. I picked this topic this being Memorial Day weekend to give you some insight of what some of our military went through. Torture has been a tool used by countless groups since the beginning of civilization. There are two main forms of this: physical, waterboarding, electric shock, just to name a few, and psychological, sleep deprivation, starvation. Torture is used to either gain information or just punish or even kill the captives. But there are people who get sexual pleasure from being tortured. BDSM. This is a form of torture that can be a great way to spice up your sex life. but can also go horribly wrong. So if you venture into this, you must have respect for your partner and always use a safe word. Well, I hope you all take a moment to remember the men and women who gave all for this great country of ours. Well, time for me to go and have some fun.
Thank you, Jim. That was really a great tribute to people of service, and of course a little twist at the end. So back to our discussion on atheism. Of course, feel free to call in to be part of the conversation via Skype to wildchild3969. While there are many reasons people become atheists, mine had several triggers. I was in my youth very religious, to the point of reading the Bible daily. I was baptized and made my confirmation as a Methodist. I even stood up in front of the church and announced I was born again at 14. Then I was rebaptized a Baptist, studied with Jehovah's Witnesses, and at one point, while in the midst of those studies, it was as if a light bulb went off. For every question I asked, I got a bullshit answer. Then it dawned on me, after a lot of thought, God, the Bible, nothing more than things put in place to control a population, to make them obey. Most men would fear the wrath of a God and eternal damnation than they would another man. And like cavemen, we look at the world around us, one which we yet understand, and need to subscribe some meaning to it. So we put a face on it, a God, a seeing, all-seeing, all-powerful person looking out over us. And of course that cements the fear in us and cements our obedience. I would like to, I have a blogger that I follow called Godless Mom, and she has 9 ways atheist moms differ from religious moms. I thought this was extremely intelligent and really went to the heart of why I feel raising my children as an atheist mom really benefited them as opposed to other ways. We would never refer to our children as sinners, certainly not for being a normal human being. If you think it's romantic to see yourself as broken and in need of saving, that's on you. That's on you, Bible buddy. But keep it to your damn self. Don't infect your kids with that bullshit. As atheist parents, there is nothing our children could do to make us see them as sinners, because we don't believe in sin. Calling a child a sinner is something only really awful moms would do. It's demeaning, dehumanizing, and abusive. While I recognize that not all religious moms would do this, there are 0 atheist moms that would. Number 2, we would never tell our children that some people go to a place after death to be tortured and burned for eternity. For a child, hearing from the adults they trust about such a place is fucking terrorism. Even if they're not picturing people they love there, you're planting images of humans being treated like trash, images of extreme pain and fear, images of flesh melting away from their bones, images that will haunt them for their entire lives. An atheist mother would never tell their child that hell's a real place where real people are sent to live in anguish for eternity. And I hope any mother who does has to clean up the extra poopy pants from her scared shitless child. Poopy, messy, and hard, kids. Do it often. Your mom needs some humbling. Number 3. We would never tell our children that if they engage in certain behaviors that they too may end up in hell. We don't need to terrorize our children into fearing their own human nature. We don't need to cripple them with the fear of making mistakes. We embrace the mistakes. We embrace their nature, and we would never, ever use the threat of eternal torture to get the behavior we want out of them. That sort of lazy parenting is reserved for those who think women are just man ribs and GB is coming, albeit late, to save us all from himself. Number 4, we would never tell our children that the wafer they are eating is the flesh of a man who died 2,000 years prior. You see, some of us think cannibalism is not just a bad thing, but possibly the worst thing. Some of us want to instill a good sense of morality, of compassion and concern for our fellow human beings. Some of us want to instill a respect for life in our kids and not teach them that flesh is just another option to throw on the barbecue. Some of us, and this may be the biggest shock, try to teach our kids that biting is not cool. You know, every once in a while in a school cafeteria in the Deep South, some kid loses his shit and stabs another kid with a fork. And the mom is all, I don't know what possessed him to do that. That's bullshit, honey tits. He's stabbing kids with his fork because you told him to fucking eat people. You go to cannibalism meetings and line up to eat flesh and drink blood. I don't know where he got that idea. You saggy knockers, he got it from you. Number 5. We would never tell our kids that they are being watched by an invisible man who casts judgment on their behavior. Mostly because we have enough respect for our kids not to try and sell them something so heinously ludicrous. Also because the idea of someone watching and judging their every move is a terrifying thing for children. This is a great way to make your children fear trying new things, or going new places, or growing into well-rounded adults. I think moms who tell their kids that they should have to be put in zoos because you're goddamn animals. Number 6. We would never decorate our homes with execution methods or give our children jewelry with torture methods on them. We feel extremely uneasy letting our kids go to places that seem to think that is okay. Hanging bloody corpses on the walls of your home makes it about as wholesome as a porno directed by Quentin Tarantino. You wouldn't put a guillotine on your wall nor an electric chair. You wouldn't decorate with a syringe used for lethal injection or photos of firing squads. I'm fairly certain you wouldn't erect a gallows in your backyard. So why just this one execution method? Why is this somehow better than the rest and perfectly fine to expose your children to on a daily basis? Number 7, we would never lead our children to believe that if they wish in just the right way, an all-powerful being may grant that wish, despite billions of people wishing daily for their very basic necessities of life. No, your kid wants a remote control BB-8 with sound effects. Sorry, Africa, you'll have to starve another day. Number 8. We would never tell our kids that illness of any sort can be cured by a magic man, so long as you say the right prayers, and just enough to please him. No, we want our kids to grow up understanding that their best chance to beat an illness is to see their doctor. Why? I guess we just want our kids to live long, healthy lives. Call us fucking crazy. Number 9. We absolutely would never insist to our children that an invisible man in the sky is more important than family. Not all religious moms are like this, but some put God before family and make no qualms about telling their babies this. Never mind that their kids are real, observable, and demonstrably so, or that their kids are the ones who will bring them great joy throughout their lives, or that their kids may be all they have to rely on in old age. Never mind any of this, because they have this special book, which they know is true because their special book says so. Can you feel it? I actually love her blog. And now we're going to go to Ron's Corner.
Hey, 'cause I got high, because I got high, because I got high.
Thanks, Lily. Welcome to another edition of Ron's Corner. That was some Dragon's Milk. Really, really good. Get these guys. Support this brewery, New Holland. They're awesome. Today we're going to talk quickly about Tinder. Tinder is a place where you can get so much fucking ass. Straight up hoes on there too. Just wanting to fuck. All I know is I've been plowing pussy all fucking year. Thank you, Tinder. Oh, that feels amazing. But telling you, so much fucking ass on there. So all you guys go there and get ass. It's easy. You guys all have a nice week. Take it easy. And that's my corner. Back to you, Lily.
Thank you, Ron. So everybody go out and check out Tinder, I guess. We should get some advertising fees for that one. Thank you, Ron. I really hope everybody enjoyed our discussion today on atheism. It seems we didn't get any calls today, and I'm actually rather surprised about that. I would think that this would be a hot topic on both sides, for us atheists and for the and we do have a caller towards the end of our show. Hello, Jay. What do you have to say about being an atheist or not?
Hello, honey tits. I love it. Anyways, Lily.
Yeah.
I was raised through the Catholic Church. I was an altar boy, the First Holy Communion, all that bullshit. And when my grandmother passed in 2000-something, religion died for me. All religions. I think it's just a form of control, and that's all there was to it. However, I do think there's something bigger than we are.
Well, and I respect that belief, and there are a lot of people that agree with you that are not really religious, but more spiritual, you know?
Yeah, I can dig it. There's got to be something. There's got to be. Universe and beyond the universe is just too big to be nothing.
Maybe it's aliens.
Well, then cool. We'll believe in them then. And yeah, I also agree. I never did like the way they hang the cross up and all that bullshit.
Right.
It's like
That's
morbid
just
to me. Yeah,
scary as hell for a kid, especially.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I grew up with a religious family. I know about damn you and going to hell and all that bullshit.
How'd that work out for you?
Well, look at me.
That's what I'm saying. I know you pretty well. I guess that didn't work out too good for you.
No, it didn't work out so good. Anyways, Lily, honey tits, I love you, babe. Carry on.
Have a good day. It's always great to hear from Jay. Well, again, next week we're going to do something different. I'm going to post on our page basically just a tagline and just add any questions you'd like to ask and have answered on our show. And that's what I'll be doing next week. So next week there's no real topic. What we'll be doing is answering fan questions. So we'll see you next week, and thank you so much for joining us on the Dark Side.
only get up to see the skies. I raise my head, look up, and I'm surprised the clouds have gone. I'm still in search for darkness, so I got to wait till dawn. The dark side.